Good morning, witches. I woke up today remembering that some men in witchy spaces think that correcting female witches is some kind of enlightenment. So let's talk about it, maybe a little history. You see, some men, not all men, but some men in spiritual spaces see that when a woman asserts confidence or authority in what she is saying as a threat, certain men panic in those situations. They try to reframe that confidence and the assertiveness as bitchy. It's the linguistic equivalent of manspreading, if you know what I mean. Also, witchcraft was gendered long before Christianity. We know that the women at risk were usually the healers, the midwives, wise women. Witchcraft began as women's work, and it became persecuted because it was women's work. And you see, Christians didn't invent that. They just weaponized it. Because you see, long before gods ever existed, there was her, the Venus of Willendorf, 35,000 years ago. She represents the power of the feminine image and female fertility. Of the accused witches who were murdered, about 85% were women, and 100% of those executions were carried out by men. The archetype of the witch itself represents females with power and without male control. The path of our foremothers, the path that we walk now, has been paved in the blood of women. And the problem is, in reclaiming the word witch and female power and finding safety in claiming that power, women are still eclipsed by men in witchy spaces. We always hear about Gerald Gardnerian Wicca, but we never hear about Margaret Murray, who inspired his whole theology. We never hear about Doreen Valiente, who was his high priestess. Valiente rewrote his rituals. She wrote The Charge of the Goddess. She kind of took Crowley's influence out of Gardner's Wicca. Charge of the Goddess is one of the most profound pieces of modern witchcraft liturgy today. Gardner formed and founded Wicca, but Valiente gave it soul. But we don't hear about her. We always hear about Crowley, but we never hear about his wife, Rose Edith Kelly, who was the actual medium through which he wrote the Book of the Law. And then I think he had her institutionalized, called her insane. Crowley was brilliant, I won't deny that, but he absolutely categorized women into archetypes that put women behind men and not beside. They were scarlet women, they were goddesses, they were mothers, they were never equals. Pamela Coleman Smith illustrated the Rider-Waite deck, but we call it the Rider-Waite deck. There's Dion Fortune, Ida Craddock, Sybil Leek, Patricia Crowther. Aradia was actually allegedly written by a woman, but it's attributed to Leland. He's the one that published it, so it's his story, not hers. My point is that men named the religion, men named the belief, but women kept it alive. Women fueled it, and women get eclipsed in the process. So when someone says it's never been singularly about women, they are so wrong. Because the witch archetype has always been tied to women. It's the label of fear. It is the label of women's autonomy. It is the label of women's power. And it has been used as a weapon for patriarchal control. I don't deny that there were male practitioners and that there are male practitioners and that they are valuable and needed, because balance is important. But historically, men accused of witchcraft were not hunted because they were male. I'm talking to witches on my page. If I say she or her, I am addressing the lineage that is behind us. And the male practitioners that I befriend and that I allow in my space are secure enough to know that uplifting women does not deflate or suppress them. I value male practitioners. I respect them. I appreciate the wisdom of the ones who stand with us and beside us. But I won't be waved back in line by the witchy pronoun, please. In my space, the way I see it, women are the temple and the men are the pillars that hold them up. That's the balance. That's the energy we cultivate. It is strength without dominance, support without control. It's balance, which we need. If that's hard to understand, think about cheerleading. The man at the bottom of the pyramid is called the base. He's there because he provides balance and stability and control for the collective. He doesn't get mad that it's a woman at the top, because he knows that his role is foundational and important and needed. Also, complaining about inclusive terminology while then going ahead and calling me a chick is just incredibly condescending and proves my point, so thank you.